an arch that is roughly is shape of horseshoe. So this is the alveolar arch. This is the alveolar arch here in the field. Okay. And see over here, this is the heart palate. This is the heart palate. Okay. This is the heart palate. They usually ask in exam how it is contributed. What are the contributing bone? You see over here, there is a vertical line here, okay, and a horizontal line. See, there is a vertical line here and a horizontal line. See, vertical line, horizontal line. Okay. This is the vertical line. This is the horizontal line. Okay. So these are the limbs of the cruciform structure. One is horizontal limb, one is vertical limb. In front of the horizontal limb, anterior 3/4 of heart palate is formed by the palatine process of the maxilla, which forms the oppressor. Maxilla forms the oppressor, and posterior to the horizontal limb, there is the horizontal process or plate of palatine. Same thing. Some would call it process, some would call it plate. And this is a very common question. Part of the contributing bone in forming heart palate or bony palate. Posterior, see, this is the horizontal limb. Behind that posterior part 1/4 is formed by the horizontal plate of palatine bone. Some would call it horizontal process of palatine bone. Same. Okay. More common term is horizontal plate. Okay. So then you see over here. See, these are the two incisor teeth in the middle. In front, the two incisor teeth, and behind that there is a fossa. So these are two incisor teeth, and behind that there is a fossa. So see, these are the two incisor teeth. Behind that there is a fossa over here, right up inside of the pen. Okay. So this fossa is called incisive fossa after the incisor teeth. And what cannot be shown here that in the two lateral walls of the incisive fossa there is a foraminal canal, which is called lateral incisive foraminal canal. You know in the notes what passes through. Okay. So this is incisive fossa. There are two lateral walls. Say each lateral wall there is a lateral incisive foramen. Okay. Now see over here. There is a foramen here in front that is larger and another foramen behind that is smaller. Okay. So see there is a foramen here in front that is larger and another foramen that is smaller. So this is the larger foramen, this is the smaller foramen. Larger one in front, smaller one behind. Okay. So these two foramen are there. One larger foramen that is in front and one smaller foramen that is behind. Okay. So these foramina are called greater and lesser palatine foramen. You can get which one, larger one, greater palatine foramen, lesser palatine foramen, the smaller one, and they transmit the nerves and vessels by the same way. Okay, so that is easier to remember. Then you see over here, see this is the posterior limit of heart palate. In its middle, there is a backward projection called posterior nasal spine. Okay. So this is the posterior limit of the heart palate, and in its middle, there is a backward projection called posterior nasal spine. See over here. This is the posterior limit of heart palate. In its middle, there is a midline backward projection that is called posterior nasal spine. So, this is posterior limit of heart palate. In its middle and back, there is a projection called posterior nasal spine. The posterior nasal spine on either side is attached to the musculus uvuli, which is one of the muscles of short palate. Okay. Then, this is over here. So, this is the posterior limit of the heart palate. In front of that, there is a raised line. Called palatine crest. So see, this is the posterior limit of heart palate, and in front of that there is a raised line that is called your palatine crest. So this is posterior limit. See, this is the posterior limit of heart palate. In front of that, it is by now marked with pen. See, you can find a raised line. Okay, that is called the palatine crest. So the palatine crest will give attachment to palatine aponeurosis, that is the modified target insertion of the muscle tensor belly palatine. Okay, now you see next. Over here, this thing I have not told in the notes. See, this is the retroring of the spine. In its under surface, you can find a crest. On this side, this is the retroring of the spine. In its under surface, you can find a crest called infratemporal crest. Okay. So see, this is the over here. If you see from the exterior, this is the retroring of the bone spine. Okay. And in its under surface, there is a crest. Okay, that is called your infratemporal crest. Okay. So see, this is the greater ring of the bone sphenoid. On its under surface, this crest, this crest is called infratemporal crest because it is towards the infratemporal crest. That is why the name. Okay. So see, this is the greater ring of the sphenoid, this bone, and on its under surface, this crest. Okay, is called infratemporal crest. Why this crest is important? Because it gives attachment to one of the heads of the muscle lateral pterygoid. Lateral pterygoid has got two heads. One away from the infratemporal crest, another from the lateral pterygoid. Okay. Now, in the same lines here, this part of the upper sublunar maxilla is called the maxillary tuberosity. This is called the maxillary tuberosity. Okay. And it gives attachment to one of the heads of the pterygoid. The pterygoid has got two heads. One is origin from the maxillary tuberosity, one again from the lateral pterygoid. Okay. Then Then you see over here, more important is the middle part. See this foramen. That shape is oval. See this foramen. See these two foramen, one on other side, symmetry, bilateral symmetry. Okay. So these two are the foramen oval. Okay. And why are they called foramen oval? Because the shape, because the oval shape, that is foramen oval. Get by heart what passes through it, and usually when they ask in the exam, people tell males. Don't face on the mnemonic. Some of the teachers get really angry with the term male there. So keep your mind and tell the name of the structures. Mandibular nerve, axonal artery, esophageal nerve, emissary. Okay. And don't tell emissary even fast. In that order, if you tell it better. Okay. So this is the foramen oval. Then see, posterior foramen oval has a very small foramen. This is foramen spinous. Foramen oval, postlateral oval, this small foramen spinous. On this side, this foramen oval, this is foramen spinous. So see, this oval foramen is foramen oval, postlateral oval, that is foramen spinous. Okay. So see, this oval foramen oval, postlateral foramen spinous. Then they ask inherently whether the foramen is closed or they are asking the driver. Side question is what passes through. What passes through the foramen spinosum? Normal spinosum or little bit Then they ask them, sometimes if you are answering them, they ask you related question like what is normal spinosum? That is medial branch of trunk of mandibular nerve. Then they ask what are the branches from mandibular nerve trunk from the anterior to the posterior. So read like that. Okay. Only reading the foramen name and its content is not enough to get good marks. They will have a related questions. Then see, this is foramen spinosum, still posterior, there is small projection. Spinosum. So this is foramen posterior foramen spinosum, still posterior spinous figure. Okay, see this is foramen oval, posterior foramen spinosum, still posterior you get the spinous figure. Okay, so this foramen oval, foramen spinosum and spinous figure. Okay, and they are the straight line. You can mark foramen oval, foramen spinosum and the spinous figure are in the straight line. I have told detail about spinous figure you know what is attached to it, which ligament, which muscle and what is related to it. Okay, now what you need to know a bit that this foramen spinosum is shown here because spines are supposed to be structured to pointed tips. So this foramen spinosum is very small, like the tip of a spine, and that is why the name is foramen spinosum. Like the name is asked for the shape or the size. Then over here you see one thing. See, this is the occipital bone. This is petrostemporal, and this is formed by fusion of sphenoid bone in front and occipital bone behind. Okay. So the part of the sphenoid bone is the basis sphenoid, and this part of the occipital bone is the part of occipital bone. Bounded by the thing, this is foramen nasal. On this side, this is foramen nasal. This thing is your petrospathotemporal bone. This is the sphenoid bone, hypothecant pterygoid plates, and this piece of bone is formed by fusion of two bones. In front, this basis sphenoid, behind this is the part of occipital bone. So guarded by this is foramen nasal. This is foramen nasal. See over here, this is the petrospathotemporal, and this is the sphenoid, and this bone is formed by the fusion of basis sphenoid in front and basal part of occipital bone behind. Guarded by them, this is the foramen nasal. This is the foramen nasal. This thing is the foramen nasal. Okay. So all you can tell it is in front of the apex of petrostemporal. Same. Okay. So see, this is actually the petrospathotemporal bone. Okay. And this thing is your sphenoid bone, and this piece of bone is formed by fusion of basis sphenoid in front and basal part of occipital bone behind. So guarded by the three, bound by the three, this is your foramen nasal. This is the foramen nasal. Or you can tell alternately, it is present in front of the apex of the petrostemporal. Okay. So again, foramen nasal, usually different answers expected by the different examiners if they ask what the content. So remember, nothing passes through and through. No equal structure passes through and through except meningeal branch was certain phalanges and emissary vein, and its upper part is traversed by the internal carotid artery. Okay. Then see one thing here. Over here in the middle part, happen to tell over here on either side you can find two plates which are part of sphenoid bone. This is called medial pterygoid. So see on this side, this is lateral pterygoid plate, the inner plate is medial pterygoid plate. On this side, inner plate is medial pterygoid plate, it is lateral pterygoid plate. So symmetrical on both the sides. Inner plate is medial pterygoid plate, outer plate is lateral pterygoid plate. Okay, so this is over the lateral pterygoid plate, this is medial pterygoid plate. Now you see one thing, this is the anterior portion of the skull. Okay, so these are actually the lower part of this pterygoid plate, and this is the upper part. The specimen or the body may be in any position, but we have to describe the term scientifically as if it is in the anatomized position. So these parts are the lower part, the pterygoid plate, and this part are the upper part. Okay. So see, in each pterygoid plate, medial artery, there are three features. Okay. So first thing you see here is the medial pterygoid plate. This is the lower end and for pterygoid projection is pterygoid humulus. Then above it forms a fossa. It is called scaphoid fossa. On this side is scaphoid. And the three posterior border is here. That means there is minor projection here. These are process to various so supposed to orbital. You see, this is the medial pterygoid plate. This is the lower end forming the pterygoid humulus. This is the upper end that forms a fossa. It is called scaphoid fossa. Scaphoid fossa. Okay. Scaphoid fossa. And here, this is the pre-posterior border. Here across this middle is the place for the process to various so supposed to orbital. So see over here. This is the medial pterygoid plate. This is the lower end that is called pterygoid humulus. Okay. The upper end forms the scaphoid fossa, elongated fossa at the upper end. Okay, so we can tell the posterior border of the medial pterygoid plate diverges above to include the scaphoid fossa. Okay, so see, and the pre-posterior border here about the middle it has got a very minor projection, barely visible, called process tubarius, is supposed to orbitally tip. So see, this is the medial pterygoid plate, this pterygoid humulus and lower part. Upper part see diverges to form a fossa. Okay, so there is the elongated fossa, that is scaphoid fossa, and this is the pre-posterior border which will give accommodation to processus tubarius, barely visible also natural bone that gives support to the auditory tube. Okay, then in the lateral pterygoid plate, again this is the pre-posterior border. See, this is the pre-posterior border. This is medial surface, lateral surface. Okay, so on this side also pre-posterior border, medial surface, lateral surface. Medial surface gives origin to medial pterygoid, lateral surface to origin lateral pterygoid, and the pre-posterior border, this projection gives lateral to pterygoid spinal. So over here, this is lateral pterygoid plate, this is the upper end, sorry, this is lower end, the upper end, the pre-posterior border, this is the medial surface, lateral surface. Medial surface will give attachment to medial pterygoid muscle, lateral surface to lateral pterygoid muscle. And in the pre-posterior border, this projection is for attachment of the ligament, pterygoid spinal ligament. Okay, so see, this is the lateral pterygoid plate. Lower part, upper part, two surfaces, lateral, medial, and this pre-posterior border. The medial surface gives attachment to medial pterygoid muscle, origin, lateral surface to lateral pterygoid muscle, origin, and the pre-posterior border has got a projection in the middle, for which has got no name, but it gives attachment to pterygoid spinal ligament. Gives attachment to the ligament, pterygoid spinal ligament. Okay. Now, this is over here. Another thing. So see, this is the scaphoid fossa. Okay, so nearby that, see this mark area, which is bound in front by the behind by the. Okay, so this is called scaphoid mark. This is scaphoid fossa. Okay, that is at the upper end of medial pterygoid plate, but this is also that is having greater spinal in front and the greater part of the. See over here. This is the scaphoid fossa on the medial pterygoid plate upper part. But see this place which is bound in front by the greater spinal and behind by the petrostum part. This is sulcus. See over here. This is the medial pterygoid plate, so upper end diverges from the scaphoid fossa. Nearby the scaphoid fossa there is sulcus, which is bound in front by the greater spinal and behind by the petrostum part. So see, this is the scaphoid fossa. It is at the upper end of the medial pterygoid plate, and nearby it this is sulcus tubi that is bound in front by the spinal bone and behind by the petrostum. Okay. So mark this thing. Two things are different. Scaphoid fossa is different from the sulcus tubi. Okay. Now I have told foramen open, foramen spinous. Now this is this foramen last segment. This is the lower opening of the cavity. Okay. So this is the petrostum temporal. So under surface, this is lower opening of cavity. See, this is petrostum temporal on its under surface. This is lower opening of cavity. On this side, this is the lower opening of cavity canal. Okay. So see, this is petrostum temporal on its under surface. This is lower opening of carotid canal. On this side, this is the lower opening of the carotid canal. Okay. Now, see, this whole leg process is channel process. This is the slender process, channel process. Okay. And behind it, master process. In between the two processes, there is a foramen. That is the channel master foramen. So this is standard process. The master process including the two. This is standard master foramen. Standard process, master process including the two, standard master foramen. So standard process, master process, in between the two, standard master foramen. Okay. Now you see over here. See, the This foramen is the class foramen here. Is the foramen, jugular foramen. It is bound in front by petrous temporal, behind by the occipital. So see, this is the jugular foramen that is bound in front by the petrous temporal bone and behind by the occipital bone. On this side, this is the jugular foramen. Okay. So see, this is the jugular foramen that is bound in front by the petrous temporal and behind by the occipital. So jugular foramen, in front of that foramen that is petrous temporal and behind there is occipital. Okay. See, there is another term called jugular fossa, and these two things, foramen and fossa, different. How? See, this is the jugular foramen. In its anterior wall, between the petrous temporal on the petrous temporal, so that is fossa. Okay. And in jugular fossa, this is the jugular foramen. On its anterior wall, between the petrous temporal on the petrous temporal in the anterior wall of the foramen, this depression is called jugular fossa. Okay. So over here, this jugular foramen. In front of that petrous temporal, on the petrous temporal, that means on the anterior part of jugular foramen, this fossa on the petrous temporal is called jugular fossa. Okay, so this jugular foramen in front of petrous temporal, on the petrous temporal, the anterior part of the foramen, this depression is called jugular fossa. Okay, the jugular fossa, jugular foramen are different. What is there in jugular fossa? Superior bulb of intrajugular vein. Intrajugular vein starts with the bulb and ends with the bulb. Upper bulb is the superior bulb, that is jugular fossa over here. Lower bulb is in the neck, between the two heads of the sternal master. That is the inferior bulb of the lower bulb. Now, this jugular foramen is quite commonly proved, also asked in the exam. So, if you are writing the side question, what are the content? Let's see the three compartments. In the anterior compartment, passing the sinus, posterior compartment, jugular vein. In the middle, what I wrote in the notes, 9, 10, 11, cranial nerve, meningeal branch of ascending pharyngeal artery, emissary vein. If you drop these two things, meningeal branch of ascending pharyngeal artery and emissary vein, from the list of contents are the side question of jugular foramen, okay, you still get the full marks. But if you tell them in the Viva or write, it is more credible. Okay. Because there are a lot of things to write for only 1 mark and the time for shortening is 1 minute. Then you see foramen magnum. You cannot confuse it with anything else. On either side, this is the occipital condyle. Okay. And see, behind the occipital condyle, this is condylar fossa, which contains the posterior condylar foramen. Okay. So this is foramen magnum. On either side, there is occipital condyle. Behind the occipital condyle, there is condylar fossa, which contains the posterior condylar foramen. Okay. Got it? Now, last, what is not present here, see the what I am pointing. So this is the place above the occipital condyle, where there should be foramen called hypoglossal canal, not a foramen, but a canal. So that will show in normal skull before the domains. But see, this is the position for the hypoglossal canal, and that is at the upper part of the occipital condyle. Okay, so this is the occipital condyle. Above that, this is the position for the hypoglossal canal. Okay. Then see, this is medial surface. Here you can get two groups. Lateral one is attachment of posterior digastric. Medial one is part of transverse occipital artery. Marshall process, lateral surface, medial surface. On the medial surface, two groups. One lateral one for the attachment of posterior digastric. Medial one for the passage of occipital artery. Okay. So see over here, what you get. This is the Marshall process, medial surface. Two groups are here. Lateral one is for attachment of posterior digastric and medial one for the passage of occipital artery. So in the normal vessel, if you see the book, they again mention about parts of occipital bone, what is highest local line, superior line, what is the community. That I am not telling. The mere repetition, we have got it thoroughly in the occipital bone. Last thing, see these two things. This is fossa. Here, the head of the mandible is articulated to form the temporomandibular joint. Okay. So this is called mandibular fossa, and as you can see, front is common part of the heavy manipulation, fissures, common manipulation, and in this middle part of common manipulation, very minute piece of bone is called tegmentum. You can find a very fine bone here, tegmentum. So see, this is the articulation place for the head of the mandible. It's called mandibular fossa of the temporal bone. It is contributed in front by squamous temporal, behind by the tympanic plate of the temporal bone. So the fissure is between the two is called squamotympanic fissure, and at the medial end, see, if you strain your eyes, you can find a very minor bone that is tegment tympanic. Okay, so see, this is the articulation place for head of the mandible from the TMJ, temporomandibular joint. Here you can find the anterior part is contributed squamous part of temporal. Behind this is tympanic plate, and in between the two, this is squamotympanic fissure. If you strain your eyes, you can detect the bone and see that a very minute bone in the medial part of the fissure, that is called tegment tympanic. So see, this is the place where that head of the mandible is articulated from the temporomandibular joint. So how the fossa is contributed in front by squamous temporal bone, behind the tympanic plate of temporal, in between the two, see this is the squamotympanic fissure because squamous part in front, tympanic plate behind. And in its medial end, if you strain your eyes, you can find a very minute bone that is tegment tympanic, part of petrostum. Okay, see this is squamous part, this is tympanic plate, this is squamotympanic fissure. In the medial end of the squamotympanic fissure, you can see, if you strain your eyes, you can find a very minute fissure bone. Okay, that is tegment tympanic. This much you need to know, get all the foramen by heart, that one thing. And you should try that you don't have to read this again just before the day of the exam. So make them happy at least for the first phase, because obviously you have phase 2 internals, you don't get sufficient time to cover everything. So the foramen are almost going to be asked every student, either in the spotting or in the viva. So at least remember their names and the part of the structure passing through.